In a secluded valley, cradled by lush, rolling hills and bathed in the gentle embrace of the rising sun, there nestled a village known as Serenity Grove. The very name of this hamlet whispered tranquility, and indeed, it was a place where time seemed to slow and the world outside faded into insignificance. Serenity Grove was a tapestry of green, with terraced fields of golden wheat swaying gracefully in the breeze and ancient banyan trees offering cool, inviting shade to weary travelers. Crystal-clear streams meandered through the village, their soft, melodic babbling a constant reminder of nature's harmony. Amid this idyllic backdrop, there lived a man named Nanda. He was a familiar sight to the villagers, a figure synonymous with indolence. Nanda's reputation for laziness had become a part of the village lore. He was the master of procrastination, a connoisseur of idleness, and a virtuoso of lethargy. Each day, as the village bustled with activity, Nanda could be found beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient banyan tree, his lanky frame stretched out upon the soft grass. His eyes, half-lidded, gazed dreamily at the world around him as if contemplating the mysteries of the universe. He was often lost in thought, daydreaming about a life free from the burden of responsibilities. The villagers, with their cheerful industry, couldn't help but shake their heads in bemusement and, at times, exasperation. They toiled in the fields, tended to their livestock, and nurtured the gardens that painted the village in vibrant hues. They were diligent, hard-working folk who found solace in the rhythms of their daily chores. But Nanda was different. He was the exception in Serenity Grove, an anomaly in the tapestry of industriousness. While others plowed the fields, he lay under the banyan tree. When the villagers repaired their homes, he sighed and stretched. Nanda was content in his inertia, blissfully unaware of the world's demands. The sun, as it arched across the sky, cast shifting patterns of dappled light and shadow over Nanda's lazy form. The villagers watched in amusement and at times with a tinge of concern as Nanda's life unfolded in languid, unhurried moments. And so, in this tranquil village where time moved at its own pace, the tale of Nanda, the laziest man in Serenity Grove, began to unfold, a story of idleness, of villages, concern, and the arrival of a sage who would forever change the rhythm of Nanda's life. Nanda's reputation for laziness was a legend in Serenity Grove, whispered among villagers like a timeless tale handed down through generations. It was a reputation earned through years of consistent, almost impressive, indolence. In the mornings, when the village awoke to the rooster's crow and the sun's gentle ascent, Nanda remained cocooned in his world of slumber. His straw mat, worn and frayed, was a testament to the countless hours he spent beneath the banyan tree with no regard for the early risers who had already begun their chores. The villagers often exchanged stories of Nanda's remarkable aversion to work. Tales of his artful dodging of responsibilities had become a form of entertainment. They spoke of the time when he was asked to mend a leaky roof only to be found napping beneath it when the rain poured in, or the occasion when he was assigned to tend to the village's prized orchard and instead he spent the day counting clouds. Nanda's uncanny ability to find the path of least effort was truly astonishing. When asked to fetch water from the village well, he would take the longest route, stopping to chat with fellow villagers along the way, conveniently forgetting the task at hand. The women who sought his help with household chores often found themselves completing the work alone, as Nanda would lose interest halfway through and wander off, captivated by the song of a passing bird or the rustling leaves. During harvest season, when every able-bodied soul was in the fields laboring under the hot sun, Nanda would be found perched on a nearby rock, a straw hat tilted low over his eyes. He would declare, with a half-smile, that he was supervising, though his definition of supervision involved little more than observing the toil of others. Even the village children, with their innocent curiosity, couldn't resist poking fun at Nanda's idleness. They would mimic his languid stroll, pretending to be Nanda as they shuffled aimlessly around, much to the amusement of their parents. Nanda's reputation was as stubborn as his aversion to work. It was said that he could sleep through the loudest thunderstorm, his snoring as rhythmic as the village's heartbeat. But as much as the villagers laughed and shook their heads in disbelief, there was also a sense of concern, for Nanda's idleness stood in stark contrast to the diligent rhythm of Serenity Grove, a place where the day's tasks were carried out with pride and purpose. Yet, in the heart of this tranquil village, the legend of Nanda, the laziest man in Serenity Grove, persisted, awaiting the day when it would meet a force greater than idleness. The arrival of a sage who would challenge the rhythm of Nanda's life and lead him on a path of transformation. Nanda's daily routine of idling was a marvel of consistent inactivity. It was a symphony of lethargy that unfolded like clockwork against the backdrop of the village's bustling cadence. Each morning, as the first rays of the sun painted the horizon with golden hues, Nanda's straw mat bore witness to the continuation of his dreams. He slept with an unshakable commitment to morning slumber. The roosters would crow, the villagers would stir, and the village would come alive, but Nanda remained unmoved, wrapped in a cocoon of dreams. His snoring an undeniable testament to his resolute inactivity. As the villagers embarked on their daily tasks with the energy of bees in a meadow of wildflowers, Nanda finally roused from his slumber. With a languid stretch and a yawn that seemed to stretch across eternity, he greeted the day. Nanda's first order of business was to wander beneath the ancient banyan tree where the soft, dappled sunlight filtered through the leaves and created a tranquil haven. He reclined upon the grass, cradled by the earth's embrace, his eyes half-lidded and a sense of contentment washing over him. This banyan tree had become Nanda's sanctuary, his throne of repose, the epicenter of his idleness. As the sun reached its zenith, the villagers toiled in their fields, tended to their gardens, and crafted goods with the skill of artisans. Nanda, on the other hand, became an expert in the art of observation. He watched the world around him with an air of detached curiosity. Birds flitted from branch to branch, their songs a soothing background melody to Nanda's idleness. The village's activities unfolded like a theater production with Nanda as the silent spectator. In the afternoons, Nanda's idleness took on a more contemplative quality. He would gaze at the clouds that drifted lazily across the azure canvas of the sky, lost in the dance of daydreams. Sometimes he would engage in philosophical musings with fellow villagers, his conversations meandering like a gentle stream, never arriving at a concrete destination. He was the village's resident philosopher, though his wisdom often seemed as elusive as a wisp of smoke. As the sun began its descent, signaling the end of another day, Nanda's idleness often met its greatest challenge, the village's communal tasks. While the villagers repaired their homes, tended to their livestock, and prepared meals, Nanda sighed deeply. Sometimes he would reluctantly join the evening rituals, though his contributions were often characterized by half-hearted efforts and sighs of exhaustion. More often than not, Nanda found solace in a patch of grass, his gaze returning to the ever-present banyan tree as if seeking its wisdom. Thus, Nanda's daily routine unfolded in perfect rhythm with the village's industriousness. He was the village's exception, the maestro of idleness, conducting his symphony of laziness against the harmonious backdrop of Serenity Grove. But little did Nanda know that his life's rhythm was about to encounter a transformative chord, struck by a sage who would bring new meaning to the cadence of his existence. In the heart of Serenity Grove, a village that had always known the sweet cadence of harmony, a disquieting murmur began to weave its way through the minds and hearts of the villagers. It was a collective unease that had sprung forth like a solitary rain cloud in a sky of azure, darkening the once bright spirit of the community. Nanda's reputation for idleness, once a source of amusement, had evolved into a matter of growing concern. The villagers, who had once chuckled at his artful skill of avoiding work, found themselves exchanging furtive glances. The laughter had turned into contemplative sighs, for it was becoming increasingly apparent that Nanda's persistent laziness was no longer a whimsical quirk but a disruptive chord in the symphony of Serenity Grove. As the days passed and Nanda's idleness became more pronounced, the villagers began to speak of chores left undone, fields left fallow, and repairs neglected. The laughter that had once accompanied tales of his inactivity now gave way to furrowed brows and worried conversations. One evening, under the aged banyan tree that had witnessed countless village gatherings, the village elders assembled to discuss the matter that had been weighing on their hearts. Elder Rajan, a figure of wisdom and authority, addressed the assembly. "My fellow elders and beloved villagers," he began, his voice carrying the gravity of their shared concern, "we find ourselves in a situation that calls for our collective wisdom and compassion." Elder Sita, known for her gentle demeanor and keen insight, added her voice to the discussion. "We have long treasured the rhythm of our village life, the sense of purpose that propels us forward as one harmonious community. Yet Nanda's indolence disrupts this delicate balance. Tasks are left undone and our shared responsibilities fall upon fewer shoulders." Nods of agreement rippled through the gathering, and villagers shared anecdotes of how Nanda's idleness had caused inconvenience and imbalance in their lives. The once casual amusement had given way to a genuine and shared concern for the well-being of the village. Elder Rajan concluded it is our sacred duty to address this matter with both understanding and a commitment to the betterment of our community. Nanda is a part of our village, and it is our collective responsibility to seek a solution. With unwavering resolve, the village elders reached a unanimous decision beneath the moonlit canopy. They would embark on a pilgrimage to find the Buddha, a sage renowned for his wisdom and guidance. They believed that the Buddha's teachings could illuminate Nanda's path and restore the rhythm of Serenity Grove. And so, with the night sky as their witness and the murmuring leaves as their chorus, the village elders made a solemn pact to seek the Buddha's counsel, determined to bring harmony back to the peaceful village of Serenity Grove. With their decision firmly made, the village elders of Serenity Grove embarked on a pilgrimage to find the Buddha, a journey that would take them far beyond the familiar contours of their village. This quest for guidance and resolution would test their resilience, patience, and faith. Their journey began with the rising sun, a golden orb that bathed the village in its warm embrace. The elders, draped in simple robes, bid farewell to their families and set forth on a path that had rarely been traveled. The villagers watched them go, their faces a mix of concern and hope as they wondered if the wisdom of the Buddha could truly mend the discord that had taken root. As the elders ventured farther from the village, they encountered the varied landscapes that lay beyond the tranquil groves they called home. The journey was not without its challenges. They navigated dense forests where the towering trees blocked the sun's rays and the path ahead seemed shrouded in shadows. They crossed swift-flowing rivers, their waters cold and unforgiving, requiring both strength and unity to forge ahead. Yet, despite the physical challenges, the elders were also met with unexpected moments of serendipity. Along their journey, they encountered fellow travelers who shared stories of the Buddha's wisdom, offering directions and encouragement. They rested in the shelter of humble villages where the warmth of hospitality surpassed language barriers. With each step, their anticipation grew and the hope for a solution to Nanda's predicament burned brighter in their hearts. The villagers had entrusted them with a profound task to seek the guidance of a sage whose wisdom was said to transcend the ordinary, a sage who could restore balance and harmony to their beloved village. As they moved closer to their destination, their hearts beat in unison with the rhythm of hope. They envisioned the moment when they would stand before the Buddha, humbly seeking his counsel. They hoped that his words would be the key to unlock a transformation in Nanda, a return to the tranquil and harmonious rhythm that had defined Serenity Grove for generations. The journey was not without its trials, but the elders were undeterred. They knew that the answers they sought lay ahead where the wisdom of the Buddha awaited them. With determination in their hearts and the rhythm of their steps echoing the pulse of their village, they pressed onward, eager to bring the Buddha's guidance back to Serenity Grove and, with it, the promise of a harmonious future. After days of arduous travel and encounters with the world beyond Serenity Grove, the village elders finally arrived at their destination, the serene grove where the Buddha resided. The journey had tested their resolve, but the sight that greeted them made it all worthwhile. The grove, an oasis of tranquility, was bathed in the soft glow of dawn. Ancient trees stretched their limbs towards the heavens, their leaves rustling in symphony with the gentle breeze. The air was imbued with an almost palpable sense of serenity, and the elders felt a deep calm settle within their hearts as they gazed upon the scene. Seated beneath the largest of the banyan trees, his eyes half-lidded in meditation, was the Buddha, a figure of unparalleled grace and wisdom. His robes flowed like a river of saffron, and his countenance radiated a tranquility that seemed to transcend mortal understanding. The elders approached with a reverence born of deep respect and awe. Their footsteps were hushed, their hearts filled with a sense of humility. They had come seeking the counsel of a sage whose presence seemed to harmonize with the very rhythm of the grove. As they stood before the Buddha, he opened his eyes, and a smile graced his lips as if he had been expecting them. His gaze seemed to penetrate their very souls as if he could see the purpose that had brought them to this sacred place. Elder Rajan, the venerable leader of the group, stepped forward and bowed deeply before the Buddha. His voice trembled with a mixture of awe and anticipation as he began, "O revered one, we come from the village of Serenity Grove, a place where the rhythm of life has been disrupted." Elder Sita added, "Our village, once known for its harmonious way of life, is facing a discordant note, a man named Nanda, known as the laziest soul in our midst." The other elders nodded in agreement, and Elder Rajan continued, "We have heard of your wisdom, your ability to guide souls towards enlightenment and transformation. We beseech you, great Buddha, to offer your guidance and wisdom to Nanda so that he may rediscover the harmonious rhythm of life. The Buddha listened with serene patience, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that seemed to encompass the very essence of their plea. When the elders had finished, he spoke, his voice a soothing melody that carried the weight of ages. Your concern for Nanda and your village is a noble one, the Buddha began. I shall offer my guidance, for it is in helping others find their rhythm that we create harmony not only within ourselves but in the world around us. The village elders felt a profound sense of relief and gratitude. They knew that their journey had brought them to a source of wisdom that could reshape the destiny of Serenity Grove. With hearts full of hope, they awaited the Buddha's counsel, eager to bring back the rhythm and harmony that had once defined their peaceful village. With the villagers gathered beneath the banyan tree in rapt attention, the Buddha began to weave a parable, a story of a lazy farmer and the consequences of his idleness. In a distant village, the Buddha began, there lived a farmer named Nanda. Nanda had been gifted with fertile land, blessed with bountiful crops, and entrusted with the means to thrive. However, Nanda was known far and wide for his indolence. As the Buddha continued, the villagers listened intently, and Nanda, the laziest man in Serenity Grove, felt a peculiar stirring within him. It was as if the words of the parable were taking root in the depths of his soul. The Buddha continued, Nanda would rise late each morning, and rather than tending to his fields, he would lounge under the shade of a tree, much like the one beneath which we now sit. He would watch the sun traverse the sky, and though he knew that his fields required attention, he would delay his work for yet another day. Nanda's gaze remained fixed on the Buddha, his eyes widening with each passing moment of the parable. It was as if he saw a reflection of himself in the lazy farmer, Nanda. The Buddha's voice grew more solemn as he described the consequences of Nanda's idleness. As the seasons passed, Nanda's fields grew wild with weeds and his crops withered under the neglect of his lazy hands. The once fertile land turned barren, and Nanda's wealth dwindled into nothingness. Nanda's heart sank as he listened to the parable. He couldn't help but draw parallels between his own life and that of the lazy farmer. The realization that his indolence had consequences not only for himself but for the entire village weighed heavily on his mind. The Buddha concluded the parable, saying, in the end, Nanda learned that the price of idleness was not only the loss of his prosperity but also the loss of purpose and fulfillment. He realized that his laziness had kept him from discovering his true potential. As the parable concluded, a profound silence settled over the gathering. Nanda, in that moment, felt a transformation beginning within him. The seeds of self-reflection had been sown, and he couldn't ignore the weight of the Buddha's words. The villagers looked at Nanda, their faces a mix of anticipation and hope. They wondered if the parable had touched his heart, if it had ignited a spark of change within him. Nanda, with a newfound sense of purpose, began to see the world around him with different eyes. The rhythm of his thoughts had started to shift, and a transformation was quietly taking root within his soul. In the days following the Buddha's parable, a profound transformation unfolded within Nanda, the once laziest man in Serenity Grove. The seed of self-reflection had taken root, and it sprouted into a deep inner struggle, a battle between his old habits and a newfound desire for change. Nanda's days of lounging under the banyan tree took on a different hue. The once aimless gazing at the world now carried a sense of purpose. He watched as the villagers toiled diligently in the fields, tended to their gardens, and carried out their responsibilities with unwavering commitment. Each passing day, Nanda felt a growing desire to join them, to contribute to the symphony of Serenity Grove rather than remain a discordant note. But the path to change was not without its challenges. It required him to confront his own laziness, to overcome the inertia that had defined his life for so long. As the sun set behind the hills, casting a warm, golden glow over the village, Nanda made a decision that marked the turning point in his journey. With a heart full of earnestness and a resolve as firm as the banyan tree's roots, he sought an audience with the Buddha. With serene patience, the Buddha began to impart his teachings to Nanda, teachings that would illuminate the path of diligence, mindfulness, and compassion. He spoke of diligence, explaining that it was through earnest effort and commitment to one's responsibilities that true purpose was found. The Buddha encouraged Nanda to rise with the sun and engage in the daily tasks of the village, for it was in diligent work that he would discover the satisfaction of contributing to the greater good. Mindfulness, the Buddha emphasized, was the key to living in the present moment and understanding the true nature of existence. Nanda learned to be fully present in each task, to savor the simple joys of life, and to let go of the past and future that had held him captive in idleness. Lastly, the Buddha spoke of compassion, reminding Nanda that kindness and empathy were the cornerstones of harmonious living. He encouraged Nanda to be compassionate not only to others but also to himself, recognizing that the journey of transformation required patience and self-love. As the Buddha's teachings unfurled like a lotus in bloom, Nanda absorbed them with a hunger for change that surpassed the weight of his past habits. The rhythm of his life was gradually reshaped, aligning with the harmonious cadence of Serenity Grove. The villagers watched in awe as Nanda underwent a remarkable transformation from the laziest man in the village to one of its most diligent and respected members. His journey became a testament to the power of guidance and the potential for change that resides within every soul. And in the gentle embrace of the Buddha's teachings, Nanda discovered not only a new rhythm for his life but also a profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. The story of Nanda, once synonymous with idleness, had transformed into a melody of diligence, mindfulness, and compassion, a testament to the enduring power of transformation and guidance. With the wisdom of the Buddha as his guide and a newfound determination burning within him, Nanda embarked on a journey of transformation that would redefine his identity in Serenity Grove. The once laziest man in the village had set his sights on a new rhythm of life. The early mornings, once reserved for slumber, now found Nanda rising with the sun. As the village stirred to life, he joined his fellow villagers in the fields, ready to embrace the responsibilities he had long neglected. The rhythm of his days began to harmonize with the cadence of Serenity Grove. But the path of transformation was not without its challenges. Breaking old habits was like trying to reroute a river. It required patience, effort, and a steadfast commitment to change. There were moments when Nanda's resolve wavered, when the comfort of idleness whispered its seductive promises. Yet, as the weeks turned into months, early signs of improvement began to emerge. Nanda's hands, once calloused from nothing more than reclining on his straw mat, now bore the marks of honest labor. He learned the art of tending to the village's gardens, nurturing each plant with care and diligence. The fields that had long gone untouched by Nanda's hands now flourished under his stewardship. He plowed the earth, planted seeds, and harvested crops with a sense of purpose that had been absent from his life for so long. The once barren land began to yield the fruits of his labor, a tangible testament to the transformation that was underway. But it wasn't just Nanda's physical actions that changed. His mindset underwent a profound shift as well. He embraced the teachings of the Buddha, practicing mindfulness in his daily tasks. He learned to savor the taste of freshly harvested vegetables, the warmth of the sun on his skin, and the soothing melody of the village streams. As Nanda's efforts bore fruit both literally and figuratively, a sense of purpose blossomed within him. He began to see the interconnectedness of his actions with the well-being of the village. The joy he felt in contributing to the community's harmony was a melody that resonated deep within his heart. The villagers, once skeptical of Nanda's transformation, began to witness the sincerity of his efforts. They saw the change in his eyes, the vigor in his step, and the dedication in his work. Their initial concern had given way to admiration, and they welcomed Nanda as a valued member of their harmonious village. Nanda's journey of transformation, which had begun with a simple realization and a plea for guidance, was now in full swing. The rhythm of his life had changed from one of idleness to one of purpose and diligence. The melody of Serenity Grove had found a new note, and it resonated with the power of transformation and the enduring spirit of change.